joined us. So Nitish, try to concentrate today, every one of you, the class. Try to understand this idea. This is a second unit, first topic, okay, convolution. So we need to solve some problems related to LTI systems that we will do by tomorrow, Friday, second hour, tutorial hour. We'll work out that problems related to LTI systems and its properties, causal property. What are the properties we learned in the last class? Can somebody summarize? LTI system?
Sir, casual, stable, unstable, casual, anti-casual.
Very good, very good, very good. Anything else we learned?
Time invariant systems.
Yeah, time invariant. Sapro, what is that next? Most important one, homogeneity, additivity. Okay, don't forget that. Always remember that. Homogeneity, additivity, causal, anti-causal. Okay. Then time invariance, time variance, stable, unstable systems.
Bounded input, bounded output. Stable.
Yeah, stable
Yes,
input, stable. Yeah, stable. That's good.
Memory systems also.
Yeah. Today, in fact, you need to concentrate a bit. It's a very simple idea, but little bit intuitively you have to think in order to understand the idea of discrete convolution first. Then followed by, I'll show you one slides, okay, from a book, in fact, a discrete signal processing book, but that is for a next semester book. That is only this particular slide is related. Okay, so we'll see that. Then we will try to wind up with some discussions. Okay, that's what the agenda of today's class. So concentrate for another 30-40 minutes. Because it's an important class for you to solve some problems, the second unit, convolution problems. Once you grasp the fundamentals clearly, then you'll be in a position to work out problems conveniently. Okay, so that's why I put a lot of emphasis on the conceptual ideas, so that you'll be on your own afterwards. Independently, you'll start working comfortably. Okay, so spend some time. Okay, so what we learned in the last class is more like this: system linear, time invariant, memoryless, okay, causal systems. All those ideas we learned. Okay, so even one problem is try to solve this kind of, yeah. This one we tried to solve in the last class. Okay, so now look at this. So we are now talking about linear time invariant systems. And most of you feel very comfortable with this now. Okay, so we know there are two properties, linearity and time invariance. Okay, so the linearity is proved by this particular concept. For any system, if I give x1, x2, okay, and they study the corresponding y1 and y2, if they abide by this law, okay, then this is a law of superposition. Law of superposition. So we learned this law. Okay. So time invariant also, whatever be the change in the input side, delay, the similar kind of a delay, if you notice, delay or advancement in the signal, if you notice in the system, you call the system as time invariant. Okay. So then we also have an idea, okay, about any signal x of n can be represented like this, and the corresponding h of xn can be represented like this. Okay. So this is what in fact we are going to learn today. This is a discrete convolution technique. Okay, so we are going to talk about discrete convolution. Okay, so that's the target of today's class. Let us try to understand this. Okay, discrete convolution. So I have a signal x of n. Okay, and h of n is nothing but LTI systems. Can somebody tell me what is this h of n?
Discrete time impulse response.
Discrete time impulse response. Okay, discrete time impulse. Good. So you have to imagine this very clearly in your mind. Okay, this is very important. This, sorry. I'm talking about something like this. So I'm talking about an LTI system. Can somebody give some examples for LTI system? Some examples for LTI systems. Anyone from the class?
Amplifier, sir.
Amplifier, okay. Anything else? So, see, so fundamentally, you have to understand clearly that we are talking about, okay, some systems, electrical systems means resistive, inductive, capacitive. So this is this or LC you call it now. They are connected in any kind of a configuration. It may be single order or second order or third order, some configurations. So mostly you'll be converting all electrical systems, okay, into RLC systems. Okay, it's an energy storing systems. So you can convert any kind of electrical system into RLC systems. Likewise, any mechanical systems can be converted into mass, spring, and damping. Okay, mass, spring, damper. You can imagine even a big automotive vehicle. Okay, the automotive vehicle can be comprising of only these three elements when you model it. Okay, so you can think of a big motor. Okay, it can be represented with the help of this RLC circuit. Always remember, when we talk about LTI systems, well, if it is electrical, you think in terms of RLC. If it is mechanical, you think in terms of mass spring damping. That is why circuit theory, the subject what you are learning, is so important. Okay, so in the next semester you will be learning about control systems, wherein you study about mass spring dampers in depth. Okay, but right now, imagine that you are going to work with this kind of RLC networks, and I am going to give an input signal. That input is an impulse. Okay, impulse in the real world, imagine that it's more like a small pulse like this. Okay, this is a kind of a signal, real world signal. When I'm going to give this signal, the system is going to react. Okay, let us imagine it is a discrete time LTI system. So the response what I may get is more like this. Okay, these values I'm getting. Okay, now tell me whether this system is stable or not. It is stable. Why?
Because ambiguity is
System
not.
is bounded, sir.
How you are saying that? You have to compute the energy.
Bounded, sir.
Okay, so this is h of n whole square. You look at this energy of this output signal. Okay, if the output of energy is bounded, converging series. Okay, it's a converging series. Look at this. The series is converging. Remember that always. The impulse response, if it is going to have finite energy, then you call the system as stable. Remember that hereafter. Okay, BI, BO stable. How you define the impulse response? Energy is what? Bounded, not infinite. Okay, it's bounded. Then I can say my system is stable. So that is h of n. Okay, now imagine this. The question that I am posing to you right now is, for one impulse, understand this clearly, for one impulse, for my discrete time LTI system, I have got some output, something like this, starting from 0, 1, 2. This is given at n equal to 0, this is n. Okay, so this is the response I have obtained. So what is the problem I said? Remember, can you recall that? For one impulse, I got h of n like this. Then can you predict the response of the same discrete time LTI system for any x of n? That's a question, in fact, I asked you. Remember? So,
Yes, sir, we can predict, sir.
how can you predict?
Because each signal is a combination of linear combination of impulse, no, sir.
Very good, very good. So it is a linear. So x of n is, let us imagine it's some signal like this. What are they? They are the samples that comes out of some x of t. Okay, so naturally my x of n is a linear combination of impulses. The fundamental idea. Now when I'm going to give it as an input to my discrete time LTI system, knowing only the h of n, okay, knowing only this, by applying the properties of LTI system, additivity, shift invariance, and homogeneity, I can predict the response of system for any x of n. Okay, but I'll be knowing only this. I'll be knowing only this. I know only the impulse response, but it's possible for me to predict the response of the system for any x of n. In order to do this, we apply the mathematical operator called as convolution. So convolution is basically used for computing this response. Okay, the response of it is y of n. Y of n response I want. So this is a response I want. But I have only x of n in hand and I know x of n. So naturally the question is, how I'm going to do this. So naturally it's quite obvious that I'm going to use the basis function delta n minus k, okay, where k is an integer. Okay, it is an integer. So I'm going to choose these signals delta n plus delta n minus 1 plus delta n minus 2. I have all these signals in hand. Okay, so this is a delta n plus 1. So I can choose all these waveforms. These are all my basis functions, basis vectors. So with the basis vector, what I can do, I can represent any waveform x of n as a linear combination. Linear combination of these basis vectors, okay, basis signals. Okay, basis signals. Linear combination of basis signals. What is the basis signal? Delta n minus 1, delta n minus 2, all these. So the linear combination I can represent that. Naturally, then x of n, how I can write? X of n can be written as, it can be a signal. Okay, let us imagine I'm starting from some x of n minus 2. What will be the delta signal I'll be multiplying with this? In order to represent as a linear combination of basis signals, these signals, what is the value I need to multiply x of minus 2 with? I'm looking for linear combination. Okay, so what is the value I need to multiply here? It should be, anyone from the class? What are all the signals I need to multiply these values?
Delta n plus 2, sir.
Very good. Who is that? Shalniya?
Pranita, sir.
Anita, okay. Very good. See this delta n plus 2. First one. What about this? Delta n plus 1. What about this? It will be delta n. This is going to be delta n minus. Is it clear? So I can represent my x of n as a linear combination of these impulses, because impulses are the basis. Okay, using that I am trying to represent my waveform like this. Okay, so for example, one simple example, I have an x of n like this. Okay, let us take our example. So my signal is something like this. This is my x of t. Okay, I am now sampling it. This waveform. What do I get? I get first waveform here, second waveform here, third waveform. Maybe 3, 2, 1. Let us imagine. These are all the amplitudes. This is my x of n. Now x of n, whether can be written as a linear combination of impulses? Yes or no? Yes, it can be represented. Okay, so I have sampled x of t, therefore x of n, it's going to be, can somebody tell me what is the value? What is x of n? It's a linear combination of impulse signals.
3 into
3
delta of
into
0.
delta 0,
Delta 0, delta n. Okay, delta n.
delta
Plus 2 times.
3
2
into
into
Delta
delta
n
n
minus
minus 1.
1.
Very good. If you understand this, then you are through. Then 1 into
Delta
delta.
n minus 2.
That's all. Very good. Okay, if there is a signal here at -1, what do you get? -1 if I'm going to have a signal, for example, this is 0, 1, 2. Index -1, if I have a signal, what do I get here? Delta n plus 1. N plus 1 I'll be getting. That's the only thing you have to remember. Once if you do that, okay, I can have my signal x of n as a linear combination of impulses I'll be getting. Now what if I'm going to give, okay, this as an input signal. Okay, so for any waveform x of n, so easily you can remember now, it's going to be x of -2 means delta n plus 2. Okay, x of -1 means delta n plus 1. Then x of 0 means delta n. Remember this. Then x of 1 means delta n minus 1. And x of 2 means delta n minus 2. This is a fundamental idea. So using this, now you have to think in terms of the system response. Okay, now I'm going to give this kind of a signal as an input. Okay, so naturally I can write this as a combination, is it not? X of k. Okay, x of n, sorry, x of n. It can be any x of n. Can be equal to what? As a summation series, sigma. Okay, which one is varying? Let us take some running parameter k, varying from -infinity to +infinity. So can I say this as x of k? Okay, because k varies from -infinity. Am I right? It goes from x of -infinity you are starting. It goes up to x of infinity. Signal goes like that. Okay, so naturally k varies from -infinity to +infinity. X of k. What will be here? Delta
minus k.
n minus k. Okay, is it clear? So this is the input you are talking about. The input signal as a linear combination of impulses. This is a key equation. You have to understand this very clearly. This is the input I am talking about right now, because you can clearly see if I keep varying k, let us imagine I'm starting from k equal to 0. What do I get here? I get x of 0 delta n. That's the signal I'm talking about, this signal I'm talking. If I vary k equal to 1, I'm going to get x of 1 delta n minus, this signal I'm talking about. If k equal to -1, what do I get? K equal to -1. I get x of -1 delta n plus 1, minus or minus plus. Okay, so n plus 1. So clearly you can visualize this signal as a linear combination of impulses. This is the first step. Okay, now what is the output you are expecting? Output of linear system is LTI system output. If I give xn as input, the output is going to be some yn. What is that? That yn is nothing but some h of some operator x of n. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, so whatever h of n I'm talking about. So now, if this is going to be the case, so what I'm looking forward is more like this. So I'm looking forward h of, okay, instead of x of n, I'm going to substitute all my values. Delta n plus 1, x of 0, delta n. This is what I'm talking about. You have to understand it clearly. Okay. So this is the input I'm talking. So this h has to operate on all these signals. Okay. So, but what do I know? I know delta or delta n when n is equal to 0. I know what is output. That is some h of n I got. But I need to compute it now for each and every one of this output. Okay. The response has to be computed and then it has to be added in order to get the y of n. You understand the question now clearly? What is the problem? Yeah.
You mean x of n, if x of k is refers to the amplitude. Is am I correct, sir?
This x is amplitude. Yeah, that's right.
X of something.
Yeah, x of something is amplitude. Very good. It's a number. Okay, it's a number.
Or instant. Number means instant. At
that particular instant, yeah. It is x of -2 means the original signal, it is like this, continuous time take signal. Okay, this is -2. At this -2, whatever sample value you are going to get, that amplitude value is what this number is. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
That amplitude, sampled version amplitude. Those amplitude is what you are going to get as the corresponding x of. Okay, that's the amplitude. Fine. Now, I can write this as a linear combination. I can do that. So I know that I can give, first of all, I'll split this signal open and I can take x of -2 first. Okay, and then I can give it delta n plus 2 as my input to my LTI system, discrete time LTI system. Can somebody help me out? What is the output I'll be getting?
X of -2 h of n plus 2.
Very good. X of -2. Okay, because it is scaled now. This delta n is now scaled by this x of -2 as well as time shifted. Therefore, output is also going to get scaled by the same amount and it's also going to get time shifted. Why? Why it is true? Why it is true? Because system is linear. Okay, it abides by the law of homogeneity. X of -2, whatever be the input, it is scaled. If the input is scaled by x of -2, output should also get scaled by the same value. And if the input is shifted by time, output is also going to get shifted by time. So naturally, if x of -2, I'm going to get this. Is it clear? Anybody having difficulty in understanding this idea?
That h of n plus 2 means that.
No, that I'll tell you. Listen carefully. For an LTI system, I'm going to give you one impulse. Okay. In fact, this convolution idea is so popular now in machine learning community. You might have heard of artificial intelligence and all. Okay, there is a very powerful algorithm in machine learning, deep learning, which is in fact widely being used for image processing. Okay, called convolutional neural net. Convolutional net. Okay, wherein the same idea of convolution is being employed for image-based processing. Okay, it's very powerful. So why I'm telling you this, basics what you are going to learn now, the applications and the kind of subjects that you're going to learn in the long run, okay, maybe in the near future, all applicable. Okay, these ideas are all applicable. So get a clear idea. So the question what you are raising now is, what is this h of n? H of n is nothing but when I give delta n to my system, the system is being responding to this delta n. Okay, when it is responding, I'm getting some output like this. This kind of output, bounded output, I'm going to call it as impulse response. Okay, I already told you this. Impulse response. System is stable or not, you can, by looking at this h of n, I can tell whether the system is stable or not. By finding out the energy of this signal, if the energy is finite, I can say my system is stable. Is it all right now? Gautam, what is h of n?
Yes, sir.
Now, if it is h of n, it's going to start at n equal to 0. What is h of n plus 2? Can you tell me?
At -2, sir.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to, instead of starting at 0, it's going to start at -2. Okay, the same signal is going to exist like this, -1, 0. It's instead of 0, 1, 2, it becomes -2, 1, 0. The same signal. It's going to start like this. Okay, that is what h of n plus 2. The x of -2 is the corresponding value of the x of n at the instant n equal to -2, whatever is there, that will be taken as the x of n. Okay, so that's going to get multiplied with h of n. Multiplied means what? Every value is going to get multiplied by that number. That amplitude is going to scale up or down based on the x of -2. Okay, that is the idea. Now, If this is going to be the case, then can you imagine the corresponding output? So what is the input signal we have given? X of n is equal to sigma k equal to minus infinity to plus infinity x of k delta n minus k. That is the input. What is this input? Now, according to the principle of linearity, the output y of n now is going to be what? Can you guess the output?
Summation minus infinity to plus infinity x of k h of n minus k.
Yeah, so it is more like operating on sigma k equal to minus infinity to plus infinity x of k delta n. You are going to operate on this. Okay, so naturally you'll be getting values based on this. So the values are, so you need to imagine clearly that this is a number. You are not going to work on this. It's a number. Only thing is going to get shifted is this one based on, because I'm bothered about only the impulses. This impulse is getting scaled by this, that's all. So naturally it's going to be sigma, okay, k equal to minus infinity to plus infinity x of k. This is going to be h of this number. All right. So then what is this? It's nothing but sigma k equal to minus infinity plus infinity x of k h of n minus k. Is it clear? Everybody with me? You understand this point clearly, what I'm trying to convey to you? So this expression, this expression y of n, which is nothing but the response of LTI systems. Is the response of LTI systems. So knowing only the impulse response, only for delta n I know how the system will behave. By knowing only this, I'll be in a position to compute the response of LTI system for any input signal. That's the power. Any input signal. Because I know how, any signal in the world, I know what is that idea? Any signal in the world, x of t, in the continuous time domain or in the discrete domain x of n, can be decomposed. This is a key idea I told you. Can be decomposed into scaled, time shifted. These two words don't forget. Scaled and time shifted what? Impulses. Yeah, very good. Decomposed into scaled time shifted impulses. That's the idea. So by knowing only one impulse response, I can compute x of n using this expression. So this expression is a powerful discrete convolution expression. Okay, so anybody if they ask you what is discrete convolution, you should be in a position to tell that this is what discrete convolution is all about. And if somebody is asking you what is this h, then you have to tell h of n is nothing but the impulse response of the system. So then what is impulse response? When you give only one impulse to a system and system responds, and that response you call it as h of n, impulses. Then what is y of n? Y of n is the response of the system for any input signal x of n. Okay, for any input signal x of n. Then what is x of n? How it looks like? X of n is a sampled version of the continuous time waveform. The continuous time waveform x of t, if you sample it, I'm going to get x of n. Whether the signal exists in what range? In time range, it is from minus infinity to plus infinity. You can take anywhere. But normally, you'll be a finite length signal only you'll be using for your analysis. So normally, some n minus n to plus n signal value ranges. Okay, zeros. So this is your x of. So once you know, then what? What are the two informations you require in order to compute the convolution? What are all the two informations you require? Tell me. In order to compute convolution.
Impulse response.
You need to have two signals. Number one, h of n. Number two, x of n.
Scaled factor.
Yeah, these two are the signals I require. If I give you these two, what is x of n? X of n is nothing but the input signal I'm talking about. Input signal. So input signal and impulse response are given. Impulse response. These two signals are given. These two signals are given. This is a signal, you agree? H of n is a discrete signal. Everybody with me? And x of n is a discrete signal. I got two signals in hand. Now what is the question? Can somebody frame the question? Knowing these two, what are you going to do? Knowing these two, what are you going to do? No, you are not designing the system. Man. The system is already designed. Okay, for a designed system only, you are giving an input and you got output. Okay, the design parameters are already there. It may be RLC values. Okay, RLC circuitry or mass spring temper, any system, some system, chemical system or some process systems or electromechanical system. Some system is there. You have given impulse signal to it, and you have got a response. That response is what? H of n. Okay, knowing this, what you are going to do? You need to compute what? Output y of n for the signal x of n. Is it all right? The question is clear. So this is a kind of question. Using what? How you are going to compute this? Using convolution. That is a problem statement. Okay, so there is a problem statement. You can do it in a very simple way. Okay, intuitively the idea is very simple. It is not so difficult idea. But only thing you have to little bit think. Okay, what's happening? So now let us take one simple problem to work out this. Then we will see how we can understand this problem. Let us take a signal. Let us take some system, some LTE system, and I have given one impulse, and the system response is like this. N equal to 0, I think. Okay. This is what? H of n. So I have given H of n. Okay, so H of n is known to you. Now what I am expecting you to do is convolve and find out, okay, y of n for this system. Okay, for an input signal represented like below, like this. Okay, the signal is starting from -1, 0, 1. Okay, so the first value is 1. The second value is 2. Third value is again 1. And the fourth value is -1. You can comfortably do this problem. Look at this problem. This statement is clear. Anybody have difficulty in understanding problem statement? What is given to you? Impulse response. It's given. What is been asked from you? You are being expected to compute the y of n, the response of the system, for an input signal represented like this. This is the input signal. So you can write immediately. Okay, comfortably you can write the corresponding values. Okay, now tell me what is the value of. Okay, what is the value of y of n? Okay, it is nothing but h operated on a set of impulses. What are they? x of -1. The signal starts at -1. Delta n plus 1. Okay. The next signal, x of 0, delta, x of 1, delta n minus, x of 2, delta. You clear? Rest of the signals are all 0. Signal exists between n equal to -1 to 2. Okay, the signal exists. So naturally, I have these 4 components. So compute the y of n value, okay, using this particular expression. How do you do it? Start with n equal to -1. I want to know the response at n equal to -1 because the signal starts at what? Input signal. It is starting at -1. So at n equal to -1, what do I get? What is the signal? The input signal is, the amplitude is 1. Okay, what is the amplitude? This is 1. Look at the amplitude. The scaling factor is 1 here. Okay, the input scaling factor. What is the signal is going to be multiplied? It's going to be delta n plus 1. Now tell me what is y of -1. Okay, if I'm going to study the y of -1, how it looks like at this stage. Imagine the rest of the signals are all not there. Only this signal is there. And I'm going to give this as input. What do I get as a response? Can somebody help me out? What is y of n?
1
Huh?
1 to x of
4, sir. 4, sir.
At what value? N equal to?
N is equal to -1.
Exactly. Very good. So naturally, this original signal, this signal h of n, okay, is going to get shifted also output. Okay, so naturally, what I'm going to get is more like 1 time h of n plus 1 is the output I'm looking for. So naturally, I'm going to have a response like this. How it looks like? At -1, I'm going to have my 4. And 0, I'm going to have 3. And 1, I'm going to have 2. And 2, I'm going to have 1. So the 4 samples that I have where in the original h of n is now got shifted to the right. Here's advancement. Okay, n plus 1. So now tell me, this is n equal to -1 response. Now I'm now moving on to n equal to 0. Remember, this is a key point here. When I'm moving to n equal to 0, see here, for one impulse, the system has responded like this. Now when I'm going to n equal to 0, right now I'm here, at this point I'm here. Okay, remember that. Okay, so something is going to get added up with this version because of the influence of the next signal. You have to clearly understand that. That is the point here. The summation in fact tells. The summation I said, now this summation, it tells you that only. Not only you're going to get the product of these two forms, you're going to add for all those k. Okay, so naturally, here we are now moving to n equal to 0. Can somebody tell me what is the signal value at n equal to 0, input signal value? At n equal to 2, n equal to 0, what is the signal value input? It's going to be 2 times. Yeah, very good. 2 times what? 2 times delta? No, delta n. Delta n. That is the input signal. Okay. Yeah, this you are going to give us input to the system. And the output, what you are expecting, it's going to be y of 0. But remember, here you have, when you are going to compute y of -1, you got 4 samples. Remember that. Not only -1, you have got samples, you have got 0, 1, 2 also. Now, when you are going to compute y of 0, you should be taking these samples also into account. But right now, don't think about that. Imagine you are giving only this sample. 2 times delta n. Now tell me what is output? 2 times delta n.
2 into h of
2 into h of n, sir.
That's all. Very good. So now I'm going to have this response. Next response. My response is now going to be, it's going to start at 0 only, but instead of 4, I'm going to have 8. Okay. and instead of 3, I'm going to have 6, and instead of 2, I'm going to have 4, and instead of 1, I'm going to have 0, 1. Now, can you clearly see at y of minus 1, what will be the value you are expecting? System output, can somebody tell me what is the value of y of minus 1? What will be the value I'll be getting? Y of minus 1. Y of minus 1. By looking at these two figures. Y of minus 1, this figure is 0, but if I'm going to look at the overall response y of n.
4.
When I'm going to look at the overall response y of n,
4, sir. 4, sir.
I need to think about this also. Because we are not studying the response for any one of these impulses. Okay, split up impulses. We are going to study the response for overall x of n. Remember that this x of n is the input for the system. So you need to think as a whole. That is very important. Okay, so now look at this y of minus 1. It's going to be only 4. I'm very confident about that. Why? Primarily because when n equal to 0, there are no signals here. When it's going to be n equal to 1, definitely I won't be getting anything for minus 1 definitely afterwards. N equal to 1, 2 and all. So I can be very confident that y of minus 1 will be only 4. I'm very sure about it. What about y of 0? What is y of 0 output?
10, sir.
Can somebody tell me what is that? 11. Yeah, it is going to be 8 plus 3, 11. Okay, 8 plus 3, 11. But you should be careful about n equal to 1 also. Now let us move to n equal to 1. Whether we need to include that or not, we'll see. What is n equal to 1? The value n equal to 1? Where is it? Yeah, here it is. This is h of n, x of n. This is x of n, define it. Two times delta n. Yeah, this is n equal to. So you need to take one more sample. This is minus 1, 0, 1. Okay, we'll take this sample also. Minus 1. This is your x of n. So we have computed now for this value. Okay, at 0, 2 also we have computed. Now we are moving on to x of n equal to 1. Now tell me what is the value? It's going to be 1 time delta what? What is the input? Delta
N minus 1.
n minus. Very good. So if this is the input, the output is now going to, we are now in the position of computing for 1. Okay. But the key point here is it's going to get, output is going to get, the impulse response is going to get shifted like this. Okay. So now clearly you can see for this one, I'm going to have response like this. It's not going to start at 0, but it's going to start at 1, the response. But value is, amplitude is scaled by 1, therefore the same value will be getting 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 7. Is it clear? Everyone with me till this point? Okay, now tell me what is the value of y of 0? Y of minus 1 is 4. Okay, now tell me what is the value of y of 0? Y of 0 is 8
3.
plus 3. Okay, 8 plus 3 is 11. The output we have computed. Because we know that now at 0 there is no value here. Okay, at 0 there is no value here. Definitely next value also there won't be any 0 there. So I can be pretty sure. So I can now plot my y of n for two samples. What are they? Minus 1, 4. And for 0, I can get 8 plus 3, 11. And for 1, I got now 4. But you have to be careful that this 4 is going to get added up with this 6. Okay. And then that 6 is going to get added up with this 2. You understand the point what I'm trying to convey to you? 2 plus 6, 8 plus 4. 12 is the signal you'll be.
Amplitude addition, sir.
The amplitude addition. That's all. Because that response is still lingering. Okay. See, when you give one impulse, this like this, the system response is like this. It is lingering for 4 samples. But before that 4 samples dies out, you are giving another sample, another impulse at n equal to 0, another impulse at n equal to 1. So all those values are going to get added up. Remember that. Okay, are you getting the point what I'm saying? So these responses are all going to add it up. That is why you are getting this summation here. This summation indicates that one. Not only you are taking the product, these two scaled factors like this, you are also taking the summation. So that's what you are moving the signal H. Okay, the signal H is moving over the original waveform X of n. That's more like this waveform. Okay, but they're moving it in the flipped manner. I'll tell you graphically how you are going to do it. But you are going to flip the original signal to this end and then you will move over it. So roll over it. So it's more like that. Now that is the value for delta n minus 1. Can somebody help me out for the n equal to 2 case? What is the value I gave? X of n equal to 2 case. What is the input? It's going to be minus 1 delta n minus 2. That is the input signal. The value I'm going to compute now. Y equal to 2. Okay, it's going to be minus 1 time h of n minus 2. Is it clear? Everybody with me? The scaling factor now is minus 1 because the input is multiplied by minus 1. Input impulse is multiplied by minus 1 and the impulse is also shifted by minus 2. So because of the shifting variance property, I'm also getting h also getting shifted and the scaled factor by minus 1. Okay, is it clear? Now do it the same manner. What is the response I'll be getting? I won't get any response at 0. I won't get any response at 1 because it shifted by 2 instead. Then at second instant, what do I be getting?
Addition of the amplitudes.
This is minus 4. This is the impulse response I'm talking. Okay, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1. This is 3, 4, 5 samples. Is it clear? This is n equal to 3 because original h of n is like this: 4, 3, 2, 1. This is original h of n. Now I'm going to shift it by n minus 2. So it's going to come over here, 2 samples. Then it's multiplied, amplitude is multiplied by minus 1. Therefore, it's become minus 4, minus 3, minus 2. This is my minus 1 h of n minus 2. Now you add. Look at this case. At the second sample, okay, if I want to compute y of 2, can somebody help me out? What is y of 2? What is the first one I'm getting here? Y of 2. It's 1. Okay, 1. 1 plus 4, 5. 5 plus 3, 8. 8 minus 4. Look at this. It's going to be 8 minus 4, 4. Is it clear? How many of you not understood this? Please ask me again. I'll tell again. Everybody understood this idea? Anybody wants me to repeat?
Could you explain again?
Yeah, 1 minute.
Explain again, sir.
Yeah, 1 minute. Yeah. So look at this case. So if I give 1 dot delta n plus 1, I got 1 dot h of n plus 1. So my original h of n is 4, 3, 2, 1. This is my original impulse response. I'm going to shift this by 1 instant, n plus 1, this way. I'm going to multiply it by 1. So that's what response I got for at n equal to minus 1. Why I'm choosing n equal to minus 1? Because the original x of n signal starts at minus 1. Okay, so I'm starting there. So I'm going to give this as the input, x of n as the input to my LTI system. And I'm trying to find out the output y of n. Okay, this is what I'm trying to compute. So naturally, the signal starts at n equal to minus 1. So the output also definitely has to start at n equal to minus 1. If there is a time delay, there is no time delay, it should start like that. Okay, it should start at y of minus 1. So I'm going to compute that. How I'm doing it? So at n equal to minus 1, the input is 1 dot delta n plus 1. Why it is why 1 dot delta n plus 1? Because the scaling factor is 1 here, the amplitude, and it is at the impulse, it is an impulse. So all x of n is a linear combination of impulses. So I can see it very clearly. There is an impulse here, there is impulse here, there is another impulse, another impulse. So totally I have 4 impulses. So, but I know for one impulse, what is our response? H of n. And now that same impulse is going to get scaled and shifted. That is why this. So I can compute the responses for each and every impulse. So I'm computing that. take my first impulse, 1 dot delta n plus 1. Output will be definitely 1 dot h of n plus 1. So this is the response I got. Same manner, second impulse, 2 times delta n. Why it is 2 times delta n? Because the signal is at n equal to 0. 2 times. Therefore, at n equal to 0 is delta n. For that, what is the output? 2 times delta h of n. Already I know h of n. Is going to multiply the scaling factor 2. Therefore, 4, 6, 8, 6, 4, 2 I am going to get. Any problem so far? Understanding?
Sir,
அந்த
4321ங்கிறது வந்து அதுவும் क्वेश्चनல கொடுத்ததா இல்ல அது இப்படி அதான்
அது क्वेश्चनல கொடுத்தவரா சொன்ன இம்பல்ஸ் ரெஸ்பான்ஸ் புரிஞ்சுக்கோ கரெக்ட்டா ஒரு இம்பல்ஸ்க்கு சிஸ்டம் எப்படி ரெஸ்பாண்ட் பண்ணுது சிஸ்டம் இஸ் ரெஸ்பாண்டிங் லைக் திஸ் ஃபார் ஒன் இம்பல்ஸ் ஐ அம் ஆஸ்கிங் யூ ஃபார் a combination of impulses how the system will behave is a question x of n for this x of n what is the response you will be getting that's the question so h of n has to be given as well as x of n has to be given then you need to compute y of n. Y of n is a convolution between x of n and h of n. That's what we are trying to do. Okay, Gautam?
Yes, sir.
Are you getting the point, Gautam?
Yeah, sir.
H of n is also given, x of n is also given. So then h of n is like this, 2 times h of n, I'm going to get this. Then n equal to 1, I'm going to get this. And n equal to 2, I'm going to get this. So once you get all these 4 responses, sample by sample, you add, that's all. For example, if I'm going to add all these 4 signals, that's all. N equal to -1, I have only one sample this. The rest of the values are 0. Look at this. All the 4 samples. Yeah.
Sir, sorry to interrupt, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, the 4321 is a h of n, sir. I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
4321 is x of n. X of n is what?
X of n is -1 that signal.
-1. No, 1, 2, 1, -1. 1, 2, 1, -1. At n equal to 0, you got 2. At n equal to -1, you got 1. N equal to 1, you got 1. And n equal to 2, you got -1. This n is a running index, a time index, integer. Okay, discrete signal.
Okay, sir.
So once you know this, then you can add sample by sample, and you can get your original waveform like this. Okay, that's the idea. Now look at this slide. So the original expression. So look at this. This expression is important. See here, I'm adding all the values. For computing y of -1, what I did, I take x of -1, h of 0. Understand this? X of 0, h of -1. But all these values are 0 for my case, for my problem. Okay, I got only x of -1, h of 0. That's that 4 value. Remember? See here. Okay. Yeah. What is the output I got? Look at this case. This 4. Can somebody tell me how we have computed this 4? How I have computed that 4? How I computed this?
So it is a given signal, sir. That one. It is a given signal.
It is x of whatever value is there in the x of -1. That get multiplied with h of 0. You agree? You agree? Because h of 0 is what? 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay. At h, this is h of n. So in order to compute the first value at n equal to -1, I am taking x of -1 multiplied with h of 0. Then what is this value? Can somebody tell me? Second value.
So x of 0, sir.
No, for getting the first value, I'm doing like this. X of -1, h of 0. What about this? 3. How I'm getting
X
the
of 0
the-
and x.
No. Look carefully. Am I changing the x of -1 for the entire samples? See, the x of -1 is 1, that is fixed there. Okay. Only thing what I'm changing is the impulses. Look at this. 3 I am computing by, again, same x of minus, scaling factor is same for the first one, n equal to -1. X of -1, it's going to be h of 1. Look at this. This 3 is going to come over here. And this sample is computed as x of -1, h of 2. This 2 is going to come here. And the third sample is, this one is going to be x of -1, h of 3. Are you getting the point clearly? Even though I have 4 samples here, I
Yes,
have
sir.
here, yeah, I have got, are they same 4 samples but shifted? H. This h is shifted. But the x of -1 is going to be the same for all the 4 samples. But in the second case, look at the -1 scenario. If at all some value has to come over here, okay, if at all some value has to be here, what is that value will be? Can you imagine that? If some value has to be here, imagine. What should be that value? That should be
Minus
x of
1
0.
into
X of 0 into h of. So what about this value? This value, can you tell? How we have computed 8? Can somebody tell me out? What is the x value?
2 del of
What is
n.
the x value? Huh?
2 del of n maybe.
Come on, man. This 4, how you have computed? Tell me this 4. That is x of -1, h of 0. Okay. Then how you have computed this 8? Carefully look at it.
Multiplying 2 into the
Now it's going to be x of, see, look at this n. That n is going to sit over here. X of 0, h of 0, this value. Okay, x of 0 is what? 2. Already we have seen. It's a 2. X of 0 is 2. Now that x of 0 getting multiplied with what? H of 0. Now this is what? Can somebody help me out? This one, second one. 6, how you have computed? Huh? Whether x of 0 will change for this?
of 0 h of 1.
Ah,
No, sir.
x of
Don't
0,
change,
h
sir.
of 1. Yeah, x of 0, h of 1. The third one is x of 0, h of 2. And x of 0, h of 3. Can you see it clearly what has happened? Now, when you are going to compute y of -1, when you are going to compute y of -1, you are looking at only this sample and you are looking at the rest of the samples also. Here also you are seeing there is no sample. Here also you are seeing there is no sample. Here also you are seeing there is no sample for -1. So in that case, what is y of -1? How can you understand y of -1? Look at this. Y of -1 is nothing but x of -1 h of 0. The first sample. Can you see it? X of -1. First one. X of -1 h of 0. That's the first sample. What will be the second sample? Can somebody guess? Second sample will be x of 0 h of -1. You understand? Then the x of 1 h of -2. For all these values are 0 for us. So naturally, for the y of -1, you have got 4 only. So like that, you need to compute for y of 0, y of 1, y of 2, y of 3 in this particular manner. Okay, that is what this natural order, in fact, and the flipped version of h of -k indicates. By looking at a graphical version of this, you will understand it much more clearly. But this, in fact, what I have told you is graphical version, but in a different way I have to tell. Okay, this is one way of looking at the problem. Sample by sample adding. Take samples of impulses, scaled samples of impulses, give one by one to the system, get all the outputs, then add all those values sample by sample. That is one way. Okay. By applying the linear time invariant property as well as shift invariance property, we are working out this approach. The other approaches are also there. Directly you can compute. Okay, using a table and then using some kind of graphical based approaches are there. All are the fundamental idea is one and the same. Okay, so easily you can visualize it once you understand the basics clearly. Okay, so that's what this one indicates. So this is the graphical version. Sample by sample. See here, there is one x of 0, there is one h of n. These two are given to you data. So shift to keep one as such, the other one you move over it. That's the kind of problem it is. See here, they move this signal, take the reverse of the signal, time reversal of this x of k, and they move over it. Take product, add finally. Keep moving that signal over the other signal. Keep one signal as such without moving. Okay, the other signal keep moving. Then you keep adding the values. It's called graphical illustration. You'll see it in next class, graphical illustration. But just try to get a feel of it. Move the other signal over this. Okay. So with that, I'll stop today's class. Any doubt you have so far?
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, you have said x of 0, that y of 0, x of 0, y of 1. That point, it's confusing, sir, for me.
Okay, which one?
Finally, you said, sir, regarding x of 0, y of 1, that regard.
No. You are going to compute for finally y of n. Okay. This y of n is a samples. Okay. It starts from -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, goes on. Okay. Now let us imagine I'm going to compute y of -1, the response at -1. In order to compute y of -1, what do? I take all these 4 responses. Okay, not only one response, I have to take all the 4 responses in order to compute. I'm going to look at that particular sample. In this case, it is going to be y of -1. Only one sample I have. For the rest of the responses, I don't have any value for -1. You agree? So naturally, this is nothing but y of -1 is nothing but only one sample I'll be having. What is that? X of -1, h of 0. X of -1, h of 0. If I'll be having some values in the next value n equal to 0, okay, what will be that expression will be? Can you guess that expression? Can you guess that expression? If there is some value here, what will be that expression? Like this one is x of -1, h of 0. What will be that expression here? If there is a sample here, what will be that expression? Think, man. This is x of -1, h of 0.
-1.
Huh?
X of -1, h of 0.
No. So this is x of -1, man. Okay. So that's going to be h of 0. Okay, no. You won't be getting these values. You won't be getting. It will be x of -2. You understand? X of -2 will be sitting over here. Okay. So what is that value? X of -2 will be sitting over. See here. Yeah. Look at this. X of -1, h of 0. The next value is h of 0, h of -1. So he is flipping this signal. Okay, I have not. This is a different expression, but he has flipped the h of -k signal. But what we have done is we have flipped x of k. Okay, so both are applicable. So we'll see that in the next class with the graphical expression. We'll understand it clearly. Okay. Yes, Gautam, your doubt is valid. I will explain it next class. Okay. So
Only that thing is
yeah, that's right.
others are I could able to.
Yeah, very good. That's a good doubt, but I'll explain it in the next class with a different example. In that case, you'll understand. Okay. Because the signal, this signal is not having any n equal to what you call -2 values and all. Only n is equal to -1 it starts. You understand? So if you're going to take n equal to -2 values, then only you can see that expression value coming here. Okay. So then h value should have some value. See here, h it starts at n equal to 0. If h is going to start at n equal to -1, that is also feasible. Okay, for non-causal systems, imagine that like that. Okay, anti-causal system or something like that. There is an initially stored value of energy that's giving you some output, but that's not feasible. H of n cannot be -1 equal to -1. Maybe x of n can be -1. It starts like this. Okay, so we'll see that with one more example. Then we will understand it clearly. So with that, I'll stop today's class. Okay. Any other doubt you have?